I'm Teisha with Shalom TV's news update for Monday, March the 3rd, 2014. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in the United States this morning and met today with U.S. President Barack Obama. The meeting with the president today was said to focus on the nuclear talks with Iran and peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians. Upon his arrival this morning, Netanyahu stated that what was needed in the peace process was a willing Palestinian side. The prime minister said the tango in the Middle East needs at least three. For years there have been two, Israel and the U.S. Now it needs to be seen if the Palestinians are also present. He said, in any case, in order for us to have an agreement, we must uphold our vital interests. I have proven that I do so in the face of all pressures and all the turmoil, and I will continue to do so here as well. Prior to Netanyahu's arrival and their meeting at the White House, President Obama discussed the Middle East peace efforts with The Atlantic and Bloomberg writer Jeffrey Goldberg, who spoke to the president in the Oval Office this past Thursday. In an article published yesterday about the interview, Goldberg wrote that Obama would stress to the prime minister that time is running out for a peace deal with the Palestinians, citing Obama quoting the Jewish sage Hillel, asking, if not now, when? And if not you, Mr. Prime Minister, then who? The president told Goldberg that he was concerned about what would happen if the Palestinians decide that a deal cannot be reached. Obama said if Palestinians come to believe that the possibility of a contiguous sovereign Palestinian state is no longer within reach, then our ability to manage the international fallout is going to be limited. Obama said he would stress to Netanyahu that the prime minister has the strength and political clout to lead Israel to a deal. In addition to his meeting with the president today, Netanyahu will also meet with Secretary of State John Kerry and Vice President Joe Biden, as well as with members of the House and Senate. Tomorrow, he will address the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee Policy Conference. Secretary of State John Kerry will address AIPAC tonight as well. The White House released a statement on Friday saying that Kerry will focus on the, quote, unshakable bond between the U.S. and Israel and will cover a range of bilateral and regional issues in the U.S.-Israel relationship. Also speaking today at the AIPAC conference, Senators John McCain, Chuck Schumer, House Majority Leader Eric Cantor, and House Democratic Whip Steny Hoyer. The 2014 AIPAC Policy Conference opened yesterday and runs through tomorrow. An ultra-Orthodox man was stabbed and moderately injured yesterday in what is being suspected right now as a terror attack. The 33-year-old man from Bnei Brak was stabbed while walking down the street with a group of Jewish religious men in Petach Tikva. Several suspects were arrested, one of whom, a Palestinian from the West Bank town of Nablus, said that he stabbed the man as revenge for Israel's action in the territories. The injured man was taken by a driver passing by the area to a gas station where he was met by Magen David Adom paramedics who evacuated him to the hospital where he is said to be in stable condition. Hundreds of thousands of ultra-Orthodox Haredi Jews participated in a massive rally in Jerusalem yesterday to protest a bill that would draft them into Israel military service. Israeli media estimated that the number of protesters were between 250,000 and 400,000. Organizers of the protest said there were 600,000 present. The Israeli government has been trying to come up with a solution for a sharing of the burden of army service in Israel to include the ultra-Orthodox, after the Tal law, which allowed for their exemption from service, was dissolved in July of 2012, when Israel's High Court deemed it to be unconstitutional. Israel's Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein expressed concern over the rift in the country over the issue of drafting the ultra-Orthodox. He said there is currently record high tension between groups in society, and I fear for the unity of our nation. He said the purpose of the law is to justly bring equality, but if the result is a civil war, we will not achieve anything. Edelstein also condemned and warned against incidents of incitement against Knesset members over the issue, like the disseminating of pictures portraying members of Israel's Knesset in Nazi uniform. Edelstein said that while he supported freedom of expression, he warned that such acts of incitement were serious and could lead to real violence. And the Knesset Speaker welcomed news of British leader David Cameron coming to address the Israeli parliament. A spokesman for the Knesset announced today that the British Prime Minister will address the Knesset on March the 12th, marking his first visit to Israel since being elected Prime Minister in 2010. Edelstein said he believed that the visit by Cameron will contribute to the friendship and relations between Britain and Israel. The Jerusalem Post reports that a new survey is being conducted by the Pew Center, this one focused on Israeli religious attitudes. Pew's Director of Religion Research, Alan Cooperman, told the Jerusalem Post about the new study last week. It follows the release of Pew's Portrait of Jewish Americans last year. Cooperman said the new study was going to try and conduct a comparable one to the American one, but in Israel. He said of the 2013 Pew study on American Jews, the broad goal of the survey in the U.S., if I had to summarize it in a phrase, was to explore the question, what does it mean to be a Jew in the United States today? And I would say, similarly, the broad goal, or at least one of the broad goals of the survey in Israel, is to explore the question, what does it mean to be a Jew in Israel today? He said he believes that such information could help bridge the gap between Israeli and American Jews, allowing them to gain a better understanding of one another. Hebrew University Emeritus Professor Marta Weinstock-Rosen will receive the Israel Prize for Medicine. The professor is the developer of the, quote, blockbuster drug Exelon to slow down dementia caused by Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. Weinstock-Rosen was born in Vienna. Her family fled to England in 1939, and she made Aliyah to Israel with her husband 30 years later. She will be presented the Israel Prize on the country's Independence Day on May the 5th.
Oscar goes to the lady in number 6, Music Saved My Life, Malcolm.
A week after her death, Alice Hertz Summers was remembered and honored with a documentary about her life winning the Oscar last night for Best Documentary Short. The film, The Lady in Number 6, Music Saved My Life, told the story of Hertz Summer, who passed away last week at the age of 110. She was a concert pianist and played music while imprisoned at the Theresienstadt concentration camp during the Holocaust to keep the spirits up of those around her. She was the oldest known Holocaust survivor. Upon receiving the Academy Award last night, the film's director, Malcolm Clark, said that he and his crew were greatly impacted by Hertz Summer's extraordinary capacity for joy and amazing capacity for forgiveness.
I love everyone.
And turning to our Shalom TV programming for tonight, Monday, March the 3rd, at 7 p.m., a new segment of the Wisdom of Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Then at 8 o'clock, a visit to Karnei Shomron offers a perspective of the West Bank that most Americans never experience. And then at 9 o'clock tonight, we are airing a memorial tribute to the Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, who passed away January the 11th of this year after nearly 8 years in a coma following his suffering a stroke. The tribute to Sharon was held last week at the Fifth Avenue Synagogue in New York City. Participants and speakers who shared their memories of the late Israeli leader include his son Gilad Sharon, Nobel laureate Elie Wiesel, Israel Consul General in New York Ido Aharoni, Conference of Presidents Executive Vice Chairman Malcolm Hoenlein, and close personal friend of Sharon and tribute organizer Ira Rennert. The tribute will replay at 1 a.m. and then again on Wednesday at 1 p.m. and Thursday night at 7:30. That's here on Shalom TV and ShalomTV.com. And that's Shalom TV's news update from Monday, March the 3rd, 2014. I'm Teisha Bader.